Can
So
you
how
hear
is
me very
life in?
well?
Yeah, I can. Wonderful.
MashaAllah.
Clear. Mashallah.
كيف حالك? Yeah.
So how is life and weather
In
in?
Bermuda, life is good. We have big anticipation.
Okay.
Bermuda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm driving in my car. I'm driving in my car right now, so maybe sometimes we go in and out, but it's okay, alhamdulillah.
No
But what I
problem.
want to say is it's raining at it's raining at the moment, but alhamdulillah, we don't complain because this is how we catch our water, our drinking water, you see?
I know. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes. So this is a good thing from our point of view.
So rain is a
Alhamdulillah.
blessing. Yeah. Rain is also a
Yeah. Oh,
blessing.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's true. Allah talks about that in the Quran, and we recognize this because this is the only real source of water, you know.
Exactly.
And it's always dependable. We don't have any. Maybe once every 3 years or so, it may get a bit difficult, and then we have to go to government reserves or something, you know,
Mhm.
because they have a big catchment tank. But other
Exactly.
than that, it's okay. Alhamdulillah,
Okay.
it's good. Yeah, we just right now. I'm just trying to prepare for the winter months, you know,
Mhm.
because just like in America and other countries, um, we tend the economy normally slows down abruptly, you know, in January, February, March.
Okay.
But now we have COVID. Of course, it's going. We anticipate even more, you know, difficulty. But they, you know, it's business is uh, for most retail business in Bermuda is slow, other than food right now.
Mhm.
And but as I say, um, my business is food anyway. So alhamdulillah, and we look forward to difficult times or easy times because people have to eat. Yeah.
Definitely, and I think in the climate smart and COVID-19, like you said, is a blessing also.
Yes,
For
it
a
is.
lot of people,
Yes.
and
Ah, yes.
specifically for people who are in the business of food, because, like you said, it is
Yes.
needed. And if the food is
Yes.
also climate smart and immunity boosting, which can also
Mm-hmm.
cure COVID-19 and protect you from
I agree.
COVID-19, I mean, that is a win-win
Yes.
situation for everybody.
That's exactly right. You know.
Mhm.
So we're doing a duty to Allah, you know, by supplying and accessing good, healthy food,
Mhm.
food period. But knowing that it's healthy is, you know, it's a great blessing.
Exactly. And I think it's the right timing because, you shared that video about the peace tree, right? Um,
Oh yes, that's correct. Yes,
and Lloyd Halferty actually is talking about in the Victory Garden. They have a very similar concept of really
okay.
planting these, uh, you know, peace trees everywhere in the world, so everybody
Yes,
can live harmoniously, uh, you know,
yes,
in peace. So
yeah,
that was a discussion which we were having. And then, I mean, I said, well, I mean, the model has already been created in Bermuda, and that
mm-hmm.
model sort of can be duplicated in all UN member countries, so that that concept is there and it gets practiced. And why it will be practiced and why it will be immediately can be done, simply because everybody needs our services.
Yes, it is correct. And in particular, um, the two out of the three trees that we planted were food trees.
Exactly.
One was what we call a loquat tree,
Hmm.
which is in the inner city, is like the city area.
Uh-huh.
It was a loquat tree, and which will provide food for people. Alhamdulillah. Not like abundant, like it's going to feed 1,000 people, but it's a concept, isn't it?
No, no,
And then
exactly. And I think when we look at the tradition from our prophet's family, I mean,
yes,
you know that the dates is was a favorite food of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right?
Oh yes. Oh
It
yes.
was
Oh
a
yes.
favorite food.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, it's a whole
Yeah, it's
food.
true.
If you don't get
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else, if you get water and date, your meal is completed. Okay, you get
It's
all the
very true.
nutrition, everything.
It's very.
And
It's very true.
one of the lessons which was taught was this, that uh, Hazrat Ali actually was used to collect all the seeds. Okay, I mean there is a, because
Allahu
the
Akbar. Allahu
dates
Akbar.
was dates was
Allahu
consumed by
Akbar.
both of them, but Ali used to
MashaAllah.
collect all the seeds. Okay, and then he used to
Yes, MashaAllah.
plant all the seeds, and I
Mm.
mean that's the way you see in Medina, and Makkah,
MashaAllah. Yeah.
huge
Allahu Akbar.
plantation of the dates. And
I know Medina has very famous. I know they have very famous dates, but I didn't realize that he had planted many seeds there
exactly,
as well. I didn't realize that part of it. Alhamdulillah.
right. So
So
now,
now,
and recently,
he's getting the barakah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So now, this Suleiman
1,000
Raji,
years later, huh?
yeah, exactly. So, whatever you plant,
Yeah, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, it keeps on
Hmm.
giving the seeds, and, it actually helps your
Yes,
generations. When you're planting a tree, you're not planting
yes,
it
it's true.
yourself, but you are planting it for your
Mashallah.
grandchildren.
Yeah,
And that's exactly, the
mashallah. You're right.
grandchildren actually
And
benefited from it.
and
So, and currently,
Allahu
I
Akbar.
think in
That's
Saudi Arabia, Suleiman Raji, I think it's a Guinness Book record also, that he has actually planted the largest date farm of the world, and he
Allahu Akbar.
uses that for, serving iftar. He gives the dates free to
Yes,
everybody.
mashallah. Allahu Akbar. Yeah, Allahu
So,
Akbar.
so that
He-
is
No,
our
no,
culture.
because this requires no, mashallah, the culture of giving and sharing
Exactly.
and investing.
Investing. So,
This is real investment. They
exactly. So
think
entrepreneurship,
investment is only money, but no.
I think when you look at the entrepreneurship, Islamic entrepreneurship model, one ayah of Quran Kareem actually describes that entrepreneurship. That is related to wheat. You see, when you plant one seed of wheat,
Oh
in
yes, yes,
prepared land, it's sab'a sanabela, right? That's the ayah.
mashallah.
And
Naam,
then
naam, naam. Allah,
in each sumbul, mayata habba.
mashallah.
So in
Naam,
4 months, from one seed, you are actually reaping 700 of them.
Allahu Akbar. Wow. That's a great return on investment is high, huh?
No, nobody can beat that, right? And then I claim
Yeah,
this, that as a food scientist, when I transform my seeds, which I got from the farm, into value-added products like bread, which is needed every
yes,
day by everyone, then my profit
yes,
is 1,000-fold.
yeah, mashallah.
You see?
Yeah, Allahu
So
Akbar.
this is the
Naam, naam.
kind of business we are in.
Yeah, mashallah. You know, on the property
Uh-huh.
at the masjid, Bermuda Islamic Cultural Center, we have 2 or 3 date palms on the property, but it hasn't borne any fruit yet,
Okay.
and that's because our climate is not ideal for it. You see,
Uh-huh.
I did once a small study several months ago, I guess maybe 4 or 5 months ago,
Mhm.
and what they were saying is that in order for the date palm to bear fruit, um, it it must have an environmental temperature of something like 95 degrees,
Uh-huh.
even but for minimum of 24 to 48 hours, and then it will bear fruit.
Right.
So that's amazing too. I
Exactly.
didn't know about that factor
Exactly.
before. So
And now
one of my
you
so
see
I would
with
like
the
I would like to make a challenge to myself to try uh, trick the tree
No, no, no. I
into
think what
thinking
we
or
can,
not
no,
experience
no,
good night. Yeah.
we don't need to really do that, because, I mean, there is ideal conditions for every plant to grow. Okay.
Yes, it's
And
true.
one of the
Yes.
beauty of the technology is this, and this, agripod, which Richard Nelson has designed, actually
Mhm.
provides you that ideal environment
Yeah, you're right. Yes.
for anything to grow.
Masha. Hmm.
You see, and now yesterday, I think you were not part of that meeting, which was done by Ontario people. So in that meeting, they were talking about all the religious institutions also in financial trouble. Like they were talking about churches having huge real estate which is not being utilized. And then I said, well,
Yes,
in
yes.
Detroit, I used to love my farmers market. I used to
Oh,
go
yes. Everyone likes that.
everyone
Yes,
loves
yes.
it. So I used to go
Oh,
every
yeah.
Sunday and buy all my
Yes.
weekly food. Okay. And then you do not really need a refrigerator in Detroit in winter. So, I used to
Mm-hmm.
keep my food in my balcony, as a cold
Mm.
storage. And then I used to spend the
Yes,
whole
yes.
week. So I said, well, if we can create these agripods, in all the churches, so that the
Mm-hmm.
cost of the churches will go down, the maintenance cost,
Yeah,
the air conditioning, everything will go
yeah.
down. And these
Mm-hmm.
agripod will also grow food for the whole community. And they can
Yeah,
come to
yeah.
such church every Sunday with their family to really purchase the weekly supply.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's true.
And that will be a great revenue
Yeah,
for the churches also. And that actually
yeah.
holds true for all our Islamic centers also. All the mosque, all
Yes, yeah, of
masajids,
course.
can be, and maintenance is
Well,
required, and the maintenance cost is
well,
obviously there.
yes, of course. Well, one of the things we're looking to do here at the BICC,
Mhm.
the cultural center here, is that we would like to purchase outright the center, but it's because the property itself is an icon. You see,
Uh-huh.
it's a historical heritage site
Okay.
and not officially declared yet
Mhm.
because we haven't applied for it.
Okay.
But it used to be a slave house. You see,
Oh,
this
okay.
used to be a slave house.
Okay.
So the
Okay.
building is 275 years old
Wonderful.
and is recognized like this. So it has a lot of appeal.
Uh-huh.
Also for halal tourism in terms of Muslims
Uh-huh.
coming, but also for non-Muslims to come and see.
For
I
everyone.
don't know. Yeah, for everyone because it's a good reminder. But
Exactly.
alhamdulillah, the soil is fertile and it's a beautiful setting. So
Uh-huh.
my point is that we, from the very beginning, when I acquired this property, um, I always wanted to make sure that it was useful, not
Right.
just to come to pray um, for Yom Juma, or
Uh-huh.
not even just for the 5 daily prayers, but
Right.
it must be for education and for productivity, for people
Exactly.
to gather and make plans to make
Exactly.
sure that they're useful
Exactly. Exactly. I think your voice is a little bit breaking up. Be close to the
to
microphone.
the society.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because I'm driving. I'm
Yeah, I know, I
driving in
know.
the car, you see,
I know, I know, I know.
going around corners.
Right,
Yeah, so
right.
sorry about that.
No problem.
So the point is that it's important that we demonstrate these things,
Okay.
not just talk about them. We have to do them.
Wonderful.
We have
Wonderful,
to
I
do them,
think. And I like
So,
your idea also, because, if we can set sort of, duplicate this model of,
mm-hmm,
transforming heritage sites into a modern,
mm-hmm,
productive facilities, and maintaining the
yes,
heritage at the same time, preserving the
yes,
heritage, that will be fantastic.
Correct.
because you learn a
Oh
lot
yeah.
from the
Oh yeah.
history, and you say, okay, this is what you
Yeah.
do. So I think it becomes a
Mhm.
nice model also for us to make sure that all the heritage site everywhere in the world, then we get into this business of really reviving it, and maybe setting up our
Exactly. So
cultural center right in those heritage sites, because
mhm.
it is permanent, it is
Exactly.
non-commercial.
Exactly. That's it. You see, because it becomes self-sustaining and it becomes relevant, not
Relevant.
just something to go
Exactly.
and look at, but you can actually take benefit from it, not
Benefit
just
from it.
psychological but meaningful. So
Meaningful benefits. Yeah.
and but
Exactly.
again, uh, exactly. Now, when it comes to Islamic finance, that's extremely important because, we don't want to handle dirty money, uh,
Exactly.
um, and then and and very often the money is all mixed up,
It is.
in some parts of the world. It's not clean, so
It
we need
is.
to purify our
It
wealth,
is.
and so Allah already told us how to do that one,
Exactly.
through living
Exactly.
and eating halal, and
Exactly.
by spending on the poor to help the
Mhm.
miskeen and people in general, giving in the sadaqah,
Exactly.
So this is and again the trees and the planting and the vegetation is all the supplying of food.
Mhm.
It should be ongoing, and so we know that we're in good stead, with Allah,
Exactly.
inshallah ta'ala.
And
So
actually, I
I'm
was
very
attending. Today was the second day of the Halal Day conference. Okay.
yes, yes.
and actually I made
That
some
one.
points. No, I made some points, which we wanted to make
Mhm.
sure that those becomes a core, really a basic stones, of our culture,
Yes.
halal finance specifically, you know and we wanted
Yeah,
to,
it's critical.
yeah, and we wanted to remove all the munafiqat from it, so I asked those questions,
Exactly.
relevant questions, that COVID-19 is a
MashaAllah.
serious issue everywhere, and in the Islamic countries, because they were talking about some Russians were present today from Azerbaijan, and those Euro-Shia
Oh
bloc,
yes.
and they are
Yes.
actually having
Yes.
a lot of Muslim population there now. And I asked them that, okay, is it 0% finance is available for COVID-19 projects, you know and there is a
Hmm.
block in South Africa, basically, which is an Islamic region completely, and the
Hmm.
minister from those regions were present today, and I asked that question, and they
Okay.
said, no, there is an
Oh,
issue, because there is no 0% finance kind of thing available, but there is a special budget, and loans are available, which are interest bearing loans. So I told them that, why are we talking about this riba based finance when we know
yeah.
that it is haram?
Yeah. It's haram.
So why
So
in the halal conference we are talking about doing haram things?
Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
You
Allahu
see?
Akbar.
I
No.
mean,
No.
the
Yeah. It's true.
questions were silenced. Nobody posed that questions, after I made that point, because I was not an active participant. I was actually asking questions to all the participants, which are
Yes.
out
Yes.
there.
I understand.
So, anyways, so idea is this. Today, actually, before this meeting, I had a meeting with an engineer in KPK who is an entrepreneur and who
Mhm.
wants to really set up our campus in University of Peshawar. So we concluded
Mhm.
the deal, and he asked, because in our standards, I mentioned climate smart Tayyab standard.
Yes.
So he asked, he said, okay, I understand climate smart standard, Mr. Papadal. What is Tayyab standard? So I said, well, I was actually attending this Halal Day conference, and I found out that all the things, which they are doing in the name of halal is actually haram. Okay. So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
halal label is being misused by people. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
sell
It's true.
pork as halal. So that is a kind of
Yes. Astaghfirullah.
ignorance people have. and it has become sort of
Yeah.
a commercial label now, you know, and it has
Yes. Yeah.
nothing to
It's
do
sad,
with our Sharia.
No, no, no. It's completely haram.
Completely
I
haram.
have a friend of mine. I have a friend of mine in the United States. He's the president of the Halal Association in
Uh-huh.
Washington D.C.
Right.
and because I'm part of the same jurisdiction when it comes to the Halal Committee,
Uh-huh.
and so he was addressing some people in a Zoom. I think it was day before yesterday or yesterday. I can't remember
Hmm.
what day, but in any event, and he was pointing out something like it's comparable to that, not the exact same,
Hmm.
but it's comparable because people are taking halal meat, for example,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
and they take it into a restaurant and they add haram ingredients to it and
Exactly.
selling it as halal. This
As
don't make any
halal.
sense.
Exactly.
it,
That is
it
happening
defies.
actually. And now
Yeah.
actually, in it was one of my Jew friend, he actually,
Hmm.
because all
Yes.
these management professionals and everybody, since I am now talking
Yes.
about from engineering, I've entered into business. So most of the business management people, in my network, and most of them are
Hmm.
Jews and Christians, they
Yes.
actually do
Yes.
all the
Of course.
analysis, and they told me in one of the articles, that okay, this halal probably is misused, and and we should be developing a new terminology for it. And he
Yeah.
did the research himself. Okay, and he said,
Hmm.
Mufaddal, I think that instead of using halal, we should be using tayyib. In Quran
Mm.
there is a word tayyib, and tayyib probably is
Yes.
more
Yes.
cleaner and purer
Yeah. Yes. Good.
terminology than halal.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 Because it goes from only just um, following a legal prescription for slaughtering for the beer,
Right.
and it gets into other aspects, which
Other aspects of
also
the
is
whole
important.
business also, right? So I
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
defined, because this gentleman is actually in the business of manufacturing PNG kind of products. Okay.
Mm.
And he's a
Yeah.
chemical engineer like myself. And he said, okay. So I said,
Yes.
well, I started a PNG in Pakistan, and I know
Mm.
this company inside out, and I can really produce all PNG products in a climate smart tie-up standard. And when I apply climate smart tie-up standards, the top quality products can be produced, at a lower cost. And this is a big myth that total quality products actually cost more. No, it doesn't.
Yeah. I know. No,
It
it doesn't.
actually
It
costs
doesn't have.
less. Okay, because you're
No.
doing all the right
Yeah.
things. All right. So now
Yeah.
he
That's.
loved the idea, and then I said, well, when we apply the climate smart tie-up standards, we can really produce all products, all kinds of products. Soap has to be halal. Okay, when and that was one of my biggest project in Procter and Gamble, because this
Mm.
it is made out of lard, and lard is actually pig fat. All right.
Yeah. I know.
All
Let's talk
soap
about.
which is produced in the world today are made out of pig fat. Okay. And there
Yeah.
is a
So.
lady
Yes.
in Belgium who has written a book, the whole book. Okay, and the name of the book is PIG. Okay. And
Wow.
this lady actually is expert in tracing back where the ingredients are coming from. That's her job.
MashaAllah.
Okay, so all these
Alhamdulillah.
standard
Yes.
products which we use, okay, which are also labeled as halal, she pointed out
Mm.
that in all those products, right from hair, teeth, nails, everything which
Yeah.
belongs to this animal is utilized.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah,
told us, I mean,
yeah.
she made the presentation, and it was, I mean, it was a, it was a halal food conference
It was.
again in Pakistan. And this lady
Yes.
made this presentation, and after her presentation, it was my turn to present. Okay. So I said, well, my presentation is a one liner now. Okay. After that, okay, it's just a one liner. Okay, we replace PIG with all the halal animals. okay, and everything from that halal animals will go to all the same industries, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden, PIG gets eliminated from the scene, and all the halal products becomes automatically halal.
yeah, yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Alhamdulillah.
You don't need to do
It's
anything
true.
else, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So that
Yeah,
is exactly the point. And actually, my
yeah.
biggest project and challenge in Procter and Gamble was that I used to make sure that all the tallow which we buy comes from the halal source,
MashaAllah.
and I made that
Yeah.
a
So,
P&G policy.
I see. I'm just curious. In that case, most of the product your source would be probably beef, I guess, for the
Huh?
beef tallow instead of the put.
Yeah,
In that
exactly,
case that you
exactly.
gave, yeah, I see.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So you
Alhamdulillah.
have to
You know,
make
I
sure that it is coming out of the beef tallow rather than, because this animal is full of that fat, is full of that lard, which is there, and
yes,
I mean that
yeah.
lard is used in so many products.
So we're using dirty soap to uh, to,
Exactly,
to
haram
become
soap.
to become clean, to
Yeah,
become clean.
to become clean. You see, that is a problem. So
It sounds
that's
like a
why,
problem to me.
that is the reason that we are talking about. And I said, well, I've developed this brand Sam's as a climate smart brand. And since we don't want to limit our sort of market size, because that's what
Mm.
Lloyd Helferty once asked me, because I look like this, which you're seeing me. And then he says, okay, Mufaddal, are you simply working for 1 million Dawoodi Bohras or 2 billion Muslims? So I said, no, why should I, I'm a businessman. I'm looking for 7 billion people who
Mm.
loves my products. Okay. So
There you
I
go.
want to manufacture
Of
the
course.
products which is loved by 7 billion people,
Yeah.
and you are included in
Why not?
them. Okay. So it doesn't make any
Well,
sense for me
yeah.
to just work for my community or my family
No.
or
Yeah,
just
that's correct.
Muslims
No.
when the
Allah
market
says,
size is so big.
yeah, and there's no benefit in trying to discriminate against a person because
and,
he's not a
and
Muslim.
after that
To
statement,
it doesn't make
uh, you
sense.
know, after that
Mm.
statement, the biochar man, because Lloyd Helferty is a biochar man, all of a sudden the biochar man became the climate smart food man,
Mm.
because he
You say
realized that how big is the halal food industry.
oh yeah, yeah, he will get it straight away.
And
The
he
numbers they say.
actually coined and created this terminology also. He said, Mufaddal, like because of the Islamophobia and Pakistan phobia, don't call your coin Pak gold coin, make it people gold coin. I said, no problem. I don't have any issues, in calling my coin people's gold coin instead of Pak. And
Yeah,
then he also came up
yeah.
with
I
this
mean,
terminology that don't call your food halal food, call it climate smart food. I said, I don't have any problems with that also, you know, 'cause I want to sell
yeah.
climate smart food to everybody, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you raised that issue because and last time when we spoke, I
Uh-huh,
think we ended on that topic, and
uh-huh,
I don't have a major problem with it, except I think everyone in his locale in his market
uh-huh.
knows um, he should know his own people. He should know his own market. So
Exactly,
because
exactly.
for example, climate smart
Uh-huh,
is good, but I am especially in big countries because they understand the
uh-huh,
importance of climate change
uh-huh,
and 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 so on.
uh-huh.
But in some small places like Bermuda and Jamaica and so on, they say, "What is it?" They don't. Climate doesn't mean anything at all, and so unless you can spend a lot of time explaining and trying to educate
Mhm.
about this one, it will be almost meaningless because their climate is already clean. For example, Jamaica is
Exactly.
clean
Mhm.
climate, Bermuda's clean, and so on. We don't have any these issues at all. To
Exactly.
be frank with you.
exactly.
But
And now,
so
you see, one of the blessings, I consider COVID-19 as an angel. Okay,
yes,
angel
I agree.
comes, right? I consider
Yeah,
COVID-19 as one of the angels whose job is to really purify the world from all the
yeah,
haram things.
that's correct. I agree.
You see what is happening
Yeah,
now?
and it,
You see, all the
yeah,
bars are closed, all
yeah,
the
alhamdulillah.
all
Nightclubs.
nightclubs
Yeah,
are closed, bars are closed, and now
yeah.
they are also looking into and doing the research that how and in what kind of animals these viruses are really propagating. And all those animals in China and in the Western world are haram, and we know all the haram animals are actually the
Yeah.
source of spreading these pandemics.
Yep.
So now I think that is also, I consider that as a blessing, because we know that when we serve halal, climate smart, delicious, nutritious food, and once they taste the food, they will never go back to anything else.
No, I agree, and that's a fact. But listen,
That's a
I
fact.
have to go into the into the bank to do a transaction right now.
Mhm.
But I what I want to say though is that I have to leave. I have to stop the conversation because I have to
Now
go into the bank.
I will
Inshallah, I'll call
we
you a
will
little.
conclude the transaction, because I need this your space for the soccer stadium and all the
Oh
farming
yes,
sites you have in
yes,
BIIC, and then so we can
yes.
start the planning process on that.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's raining right now. Otherwise, I will go and tend to it this afternoon. But it doesn't. Conditions doesn't allow that. But inshallah, tomorrow
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
start to gather that one. No,
Once the
no
sun
problem.
comes out, and the weather is nice,
Yes,
you
yes,
can capture the snaps, and send me the Google
yeah,
coordinates as well as the dimensions of the site. So then I can
no
ask my
problem.
architect and engineers to start,
Good.
developing
Start the process.
this pyrapod,
Yeah,
for them.
mashallah. This is
Okay,
excellent.
inshallah.
Before I go, I have one. I want to just remind you of one important point, also
Okay,
additional point, and that is that while we're building these systems and planting these seeds and so on, meanwhile, people have to eat right now.
right,
Yeah. And they're going
right,
to have to eat next month and so forth and so on. So
right.
I want you to think about this because, for example,
Mhm.
right now, I need to get some fresh vegetables and fruits into
Okay.
the island um, to supply people and so that um, they understand that we're not talking about just something in the distant future,
No, no, no.
but
We are talking
we
about immediately
right
and
now.
urgently,
Yes.
right away.
So
Okay, and now we
exactly.
need to
So
compare.
this.
We simply need to compare the cost of imports versus local production. I will come and
Yes.
start the local production with agility, because the four
Yes.
months crop, which generally takes 4 months to grow, I can produce the
Exactly.
fruit in 1 week
Okay. Good. Mashallah.
through
Okay.
aquaponics. you know so
Okay.
all that
All
thing
right.
is doable urgently, and if we want to do it on a war footings, that's it. If you
Okay.
don't do it, you will die. So
No, we
everybody
have to do
is
it.
working on it now.
This.
You
Yeah.
see,
This is emergency conditions. This is not
emergency conditions, right?
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is. It really is.
It is.
People. Yeah. They're confused by elections and politics and so on, but in
Ah,
reality,
that's a
the
condition.
real problem is right now in its food supply
And
and survival.
I tell you the proposal I have for North America, USA basically. I was talking to Dr. Tamara and I said, Dr. Tamara, a wonderful opportunity for medical tourism. I've invited everybody to come to Bermuda and Pakistan. Most of the people might like to go to Bermuda, but I think
Oh
Canada
yes.
is just bordering you. And in the
Hmm.
cold weather, in the snowy Christmas, the COVID will
Hmm.
not survive over there. So we can start curing all the 10 million people who are having COVID plus symptoms. $1,000
Yes.
each. We transform them into Canada. They spend the Christmas over there, and in the new
Hmm.
year they come back, healthy, and I'll solve the COVID
Inshallah.
19
Yes.
problems. And she loved the idea. She
MashaAllah.
said, Vanta, fantastic. I mean, there is nothing like it. So we
Yes.
want to
No,
really create these communities in Canada for these 10 million families
mm-hmm.
who are actually affected
All
by
right.
COVID-19, in USA. So that's a
Yes.
plan. So we can do the
Yeah.
same thing as
Sounds good.
Bermuda, because people love to come to
Precisely.
Bermuda also in a nice
Oh
weather.
yeah.
And then, whoever
Yes.
wants to go to Canada can always go to Canada and, enjoy the snowy Christmas.
Yeah. Precisely. Okay. I'll talk
Okay.
to you soon, inshallah. Let me
Inshallah.
go before
Okay.
they close.
Okay.
Jazakallah
Assalamu
khair.
alaikum. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum.
Assalamu
Alaikum
alaikum.
salam.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.